Okay, yeah. So we were talking about closure properties, and in closure properties what we understood that whenever it is given that if L1 is regular and L2 is regular, if this is given, then we can prove that L1 concatenation L2, L1 union L2, L1 intersection L2, L1 minus L2, or if you take L1 complement, or you can also say L2 complement or anything, or L1 star or L2 star, right, or L1 reversal or L2 reversal. All these kind of operations, basically concatenation, union, intersection, set difference, complement, star, reversal, whatever operation you perform, if you are performing it on regular languages, the result that you are going to get, whatever the language, it will be regular. Right, that is what we proved. How we proved? We proved it by saying that whenever any of the languages are regular and you are performing an operation, the resultant language is regular because we are able to design. To prove this, you need to design a machine. Design a DFA or an NFA or an ENFA, right? So that's what we did. We constructed a machine and we showed that that machine recognizes this language whenever you have a machine for these languages. So we use the machines for these languages because these are regular, so certainly there is a DFA, NFA or ENFA for these L1 and L2, and based on using the machines in a black box, we don't know what is the machine. We just use the black box rewiring and we constructed a machine for L that recognizes it. So always whenever you get a question to prove that a language is regular or whatever, you have to think in the direction of designing some machine. If there are some languages which are given regular and you have to find or prove another language which is regular built based on the given language, what you have to do? Always remember, you need to assume for the first whatever the languages are given that for each of those languages there is a machine for you, and using those machines you have to build a new machine, a new DFA, NFA or ENFA, such that it recognizes the language for which you have to prove that it is regular. So that is our altogether the closure property, right? So next, let us talk about the next set of properties. So there is something called decision properties, right? Decision properties are that is it possible to take some decisions for this kind of languages, right? So we're going to talk about some decision properties. Let's at least name them here. So the first one is membership property, which is actually the set membership. Can you solve always the set membership problem? So this property is the most important, right? Membership problem. Basically, at place of property, we should be writing membership problem. Can you solve the membership problem for this? The second property is emptiness. Emptiness problem. Third one is infiniteness. Fourth one is about equivalence. and the last one is containment. Right, so decision properties are that given a language you have to decide whether it follows this. Membership problem is same. What you have to do, given some string x, whether it belongs to a language L or not. This is your membership problem. How you can solve it? Now it is very simple. If it is given, right, if L is regular, if the language is regular, it is given, then what you can do? To check the membership problem, you can design a finite state machine, right, for L. Once you design it, the next step will be simulate, right, designed machine for you can simulate the machine on X. If it accepts, you say accept, and it is part of L. So basically, if you have designed a machine M here, then if M accepts X, your answer is X is part of L, otherwise X is not part of L. So if you are able to design a DFA for the language, you simulate it on X. If X is accepted on the DFA, you say that X is part of the language, otherwise it is not. Right, so membership problem for regular languages are easy to solve. Why? Because you can always design a DFA for it. The language being regular is itself a proof that there is a DFA, and if you can find a DFA, that is actually the algorithm, and where you simulate the X and able to check whether X is part of L or not. Emptiness is something more interesting problem. It just says that the cardinality of L is actually 0, or in other words, L is actually phi. How to check whether a regular language is empty? Basically, you are saying that L is this set. How to check this? Again, that is another problem. Infiniteness is about this, right? There are infinitely many strings in the language. Many of the binary strings problem that we encountered, many of them were infinite. So how to check whether this set of formal language that you are considering is of infinite cardinality? Now equivalence is about if there are two regular languages L1 and L2, how to check if these are same? That is the equivalence problem. Containment is L1 is subset of L2, checking this. So as you can see, there are 5 different problems for which you have to make a decision whether X is part of L, whether the cardinality of L is 0, whether the cardinality of L is infinite, whether L1 is equals to L2, or whether L1 is contained in L2. So one by one we will go through each of these questions. The first question that we are going to tackle, which is the lengthiest one, is the infiniteness, right? So let us start about this question. So there is one lemma. Let me write that lemma first. So it says that, so what is our question? Our question is whether cardinality of L is infinite. This is what we want to check, right? Now there is a lemma that claims the following, that if L is a regular language, and D is a DFA recognizing L. So D is a DFA that recognizes L, right? So if L is a regular language and D is a DFA that recognizes L, let N be the number of states in D. So let N be the number of states in D, then if there exists any string W part of L such that length of W is greater or equals to N, then you can comment that done. What is the lemma? Lemma is saying that certainly whenever if L is regular, so you have a DFA, right? So let's say the DFA is D for that case. Now definitely this DFA is for L, so it recognizes L. Now N is the number of states in the DFA, correct? So if you can find any string which is part of L such that the length of the string is at least N, then you can definitely say that the language is infinite. Is the lemma clear to you, or anyone has any doubt in the lemma? I am saying that if you have a language, you design a DFA, and if you are able to find any string in the language whose length is at least the number of DFA for that language, then you can directly declare that the language is infinite. Yes, Shashwat, you are correct. It is something very similar of saying that. Let us just prove. Let us prove it very quickly. I think Shashwat got it right, but we have to really do it. Now, see, already we have assumed that there are n states in the DFA, and this is there. So let us take the string, one such a string, which is, so let W belongs to L and length of W is greater or equals to N. We have assumed one such W. So let us say W is equals to A1, A2, A3 up to AP. So you can certainly say that P is greater or equals to N, right? This is very trivial from it. Now, if you remember when we were defining that whenever you simulate a DFA on a string, what happens? You get a sequence of states for running it, right? So whenever you gonna simulate this W on machine D, what you gonna get? You're gonna get a sequence of states. Let me say that the sequence is R1, R2, R3, up to how many states will be in the sequence? Exactly one more than whatever the number of symbols you have. So Rp plus 1, these many states in the sequence. And because W is part of L, so one thing is certain, that R1 is actually your Q0 and Rp plus 1 is part of the final. states, set of final states, right? Now, let's look at this sequence. We have said that P is greater or equals to N, right? When P is greater or equals to N, then one thing is very clear. If you try to see from, you can state directly that our P plus 1 will be strictly greater than N, right? That is very trivial. If P is greater or equals to N, so I just added 1 this side, so certainly it becomes exactly. So you can strictly say that P plus 1 is greater than N. That means if you see this sequence, it has more number of states present than whatever the total uniquely present states in the DFA. This N is what? N is saying that the mod of Q is N. That means the total different possible states in the DFA is N. Here in the sequence there are P plus 1 symbol states in the sequence. So the states present here, the number of states is more than that unique number of states present in the DFA. And that is why if you apply the pigeonhole principle, you can say that at least one state is occurring twice. This is my conclusion, right? Is it clear? Using pigeonhole principle. Because I am saying that there are P plus 1 states in the sequence, while there are N states, total different possible states, and P plus 1 is certainly greater than N. So in this sequence, one state is occurring twice for sure, at least one state. There may be others, there might be several repetitions, but what is certain that at least one state is occurring twice for sure. Anyone has any doubt in this argument? Anyone has any doubt? So if it is true, then you can say that let some Ri is equals to Rj for I is less than j, right? So basically you are saying that some Ri index is equals to Rj index as per this state, and for some I less than j. So if I am going to design how it is overall looking in the sequence form, let me just write it again. So I am saying that this is R1, this is R2, up to some Ri you have, and then again further you are going to some Rj, and then you are going up to Rp plus 1, right? That's what it looks, and these both are actually similar states, correct? So let's say that this is my R1, and then by taking some substrings, by consuming some substrings, you are able to reach to this Ri. What all you have processed up to this point? You have processed actually A1, A2 up to AI minus 1, correct? Then after Ri, to go to Rj, you are again consuming some symbols, right? And but Ri and Rj are same, so I am representing them by the same state, and I am taking an arc coming back to the same state. By the way, I should not be taking okay, a zigzag shows that there are multiple states involved there. And what substring I am consuming here? I am consuming AI up to Aj minus 1. After processing Aj minus 1, I will reach to Ri, and after that I can further consume the remaining strings and I will be able to reach to my final state Rp plus 1. And what I am consuming here, it is actually Aj plus 1 up to Ap. Correct? This diagram is exactly showing what we were showing by the sequence thing. So, using R1 up to Ri, you are processing some part of the string. From Ri back to Rj, this is my Rj also. You are coming back to Rj and you are reusing, you are actually exhausting Ai to Aj minus 1. And finally, you are processing Aj up to Ap and you are reaching to Rp plus 1. Now, so basically my W was equals to A1, A2 up to AP. I am breaking this into few chunks, right? I have broken already. Let's call this part as X. Let's call this part as Y. Let's call this part as Z. Correct? So I can say W can be broken into X, Y, Z because actually it is the same, right? Now, also if you recall, we said that W is part of L, therefore W is accepted on D. And in that case, if it is accepted, that's why we got this sequence, and we said that my R1 is actually Q0 and my Rp plus 1 is some state in F for W to be accepted, because this DFA is actually something for the language L only, right? Now, so X, Y, Z belongs to L. I think I have just rewritten this. I have just rewritten X, Y, Z belongs to L. How? You are going using X from R1 to Ri. By using Y, you are going from Ri to Ri itself, actually Rj. And then further, if you see using the remaining substring, you can go to Rp plus 1. And you know that this Rp plus 1 is actually a final state on the DFA. This is not a DFA. This is just a sequence flow I am showing using the states and all. So you should not think of it as a DFA. Correct? Now, what can you say about these two, XY and XYYZ? What do I mean by XY? XY, if I have to say, it is actually your string A1, A2. Let me write it on the other side. XY is actually A1, A2 up to Ai minus 1, and then it is, sorry, oh okay, there is a mistake. It is XZ and XYYZ. So what is XZ? XZ is denoting A1, A2 up to Ai minus 1, and then Aj plus 1 up to Ap. Similarly, XYYZ is denoting A1, A2 up to Ai minus 1. Then you have Ai further up to Aj minus 1. Then there is a repetition of Y. So you again have Ai up to Aj minus 1. And then you have Aj up to Ap. Right? So this is your X, this is your Y, this is your Y again, and this is your Z, right? X, Y, Y, Z. Similarly, this was your X and this is your Z. Okay, tell me if X, Y, Z belongs to L, what can you said about the membership of xz and xyz? Will both of them will belong to L or not? Good, Shashwat, you reach the conclusion, but exactly that's where I am arriving. So xz will belong to L. Why? Because let's say that this is W dash and this is W double dash. So W dash belongs to the language L. Why? Because it will be accepted on the DFA. Why it will be accepted on the DFA? Because W dash will take you from R1 to Ri using the X part, and then Ri to Rp plus 1 using the Z part. It will not go in this loop. It will basically go straight away. But still, this xz is taking you from the start state to a final state. Therefore, xz should be acceptable on the DFA. And that's why we are saying that xz is part of L. So, xz is part of L. What about x, y, y, z? The same. Now, you are going using x from here to here. Then you are making a loop, right? You are actually took one round using the first y, took another round from here to here because it's a DFA, right? So, if by using y you went from Ri to Rj, you will again make another loop using another y because it's a deterministic machine, and after that from Ri you will be taking z, which will take you back to Rp plus 1. So, R, X, Y, Y, Z is also part of L because it takes you from start state, right? R1, if you remember, is a start state, and Rp plus 1 is one of the final states. So, X, Y, Y, Z also takes you on that DFA D from the start state to one of the final states. Therefore, X, Y, Y, Z is also acceptable. And in general, I can write the same for any x, y to the power I, z for value of I greater or equals to 0, or let me use k because ij is already used. So, x, y to the power k, z for k greater or equals to 0. This x, y to the power k, z will belong to L for k greater or equals to 0. And when you say this means for all possible values of k greater or equals to 0 for any natural number, including apart from natural numbers, even 0, for 0 it holds. Because for k equals to 1, it is already given, k equals to 0 is this case, k equals to 2 is this case, and likewise how many k's are there, it tells how many times you are actually taking this loop, this cycle, how many times you are actually rotating, you are roaming around with this cycle, that is the value of k. So, it can be any number of times, and still after some finite number of rotation, whenever you take the z, you will reach to the final state. Therefore, how many such possible values of k can be there? Infinitely many, because natural numbers are infinitely many, although countably infinite, but still infinite. Therefore, certainly in the set L, you will have infinitely many strings, and then you can say that, conclude that the cardinality of L is infinite. Right, because you have proved that there are, okay, there is one small part left, which is to say that cardinality of y is not 0. I am not saying that y is epsilon. Why is it so? Can anyone explain why this substring y cannot be epsilon? See, if it can be epsilon or 0, then it doesn't make sense. So, this all makes sense, and it says that there are infinitely many strings only if y is at least a symbol. Why you can say that y is at least a symbol? The answer is very simple. Because it's a DFA. DFA, you don't have moves on epsilon, right? It is possible on NFS, but here we have assumed a DFA. Further, this Ri and Rj, we have already said that I is less than j. It is right for index. So if there are two indices in the sequence, this in between whatever the substring is taking you from Ri to Rj, it cannot be epsilon, because we don't have epsilon moves on the DFA. It will require at least one symbol. Therefore, actually mod of y is greater than 0. The substring that is in this circle is at least one symbol. Is it clear to everyone? And because y is a non-zero, actually it's not epsilon. So every time when you are pumping y, when you are taking y to the power k plus 1, you are getting a new string. You are not getting the same string again and again. So here, whenever you are actually increasing the value of y to the power k, for when you are increasing k, you are getting a new string. So you have proved that there are already infinitely many strings that you can generate using this iterativeness. And if there are infinitely many strings that you have proved that it is part of L, certainly the cardinality of L is infinite. Is the proof clear? If you have any doubt, please feel free to ask. Because this is very important and a foundation understanding for a very important concept which we are going to cover next. Anyone has any doubt in this? Do you want me to go back and quickly review this whole thing that we did, or are we fine to go ahead? Okay, thank you. If you have still any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, I am moving ahead, and then still at any point of time you can stop me and ask the question or anything if it is not very clear to you. Okay. So what we actually proved that whenever we have a language which is a regular language, and if you have this infinite cardinality, right? So certainly what will happen whenever you take the DFA, you will be finding a loop, and if you are pumping over the loop, you will be able to iterate many of the strings in that language, right? So let us check for something very interesting. Let us see for this language L. This is a language, right? So what is the language? You are designing a DFA such that you have some n number of zeros and the same number of ones. Anyone, please design a DFA. I am giving you 1 minute to design a DFA. As soon as you design, why Shashwat? Why is it not possible? Correct. So there are multiple answers coming that we don't know when to switch, how we will we keep count of zeros or ones? We can't keep track of count. Anything else? Any other concept comes to your mind? Oh, you all know it is not a regular language. That is good. So it is not a regular language. Certainly it is not a regular language. So whatever money someone gives you to design a DFA, please don't accept the money, because you can't design. That is true. So yeah, certainly whatever the arguments came, that counting is actually not possible on DFA. Why? What is the reason for that? Because we say that, if you remember, mod of q is a finite number. Now here, to keep track of how many zeros you have encountered, you have to keep changing the states, right? So that once one start arriving, you should be able to recount and match it, which is not really possible, because for 0 to the power k, 1 to the power k, whatever the machine you have designed, it should be also able to see for 0 to the power 2k, 1 to the power 2k, and likewise. You have to design a machine. And the biggest problem that you can realize comes exactly with this loop. That, let's say that, let there is a DFA, right? Let there exist a DFA D for L. Then what will happen? Certainly, if there exists a DFA, for this DFA, the mod of q will be sum n. You take the string 0 to the power n, 1 to the power n. What will happen now? You will realize for this block of zeros, and this is block of ones. I have taken this as a string w, right? And this w is part of L, yes or no? Right, as per the definition. So whenever this length of the states, actually number of states in the DFA is n, you take a string where the number of zeros are exactly n and 1 is certainly n. So this is part of L. Oh, so Shivam is asking, we will get paid to design the DFAs? Yes, if you design a DFA for this, whatever amount, you write it on a checkbook, I will pay to you. Anyway, jokes apart, coming back, yes, you will be paid, Shubham, to design DFA, but you will not be designing DFA. You will be actually writing algorithms for some companies, Google, Facebook or Amazon, right? Writing the code itself is actually designing DFA. You will realize all that, because every DFA is some algorithm. So it is theoretically, it's a theoretical programming that you are learning. Okay, let's come back to this part. So see, when you took already n number of zeros and n number of ones, if you go back to this concept of this loop and everything, what will happen? For the first n zeros, you will get a similar kind of circle, right? And now if you are pumping the zeros, again just like here, the number of zeros will increase, but the number of ones will remain unaffected. So your x, y, z all will be part of only this 0 to the power n. It will come in that. And when you are pumping, you are taking x, y, y, z. It is actually something, when you take, this is actually representing that it is the length of x, y, y, z is greater than n. So you have more number of zeros, while the remaining part of this substring 1 to the power n is still n. But if you are going from 0 to 0 and further 1 to 1, which was taking any number of cycles here, will not stop you going further to this final state. So even after the pumping on zeros, still you should be able to go to the final state as per the DFA. But what is the problem? The problem is, if you have 0 to the power I, 1 to the power j, where I is greater than j, certainly this string is not part of L, right? When you pumped zeros and the number of zeros increased, it should not be part of L, but as per the DFA, it is accepting L. That means this DFA is not correct DFA for the given language. So this is just a concept to make you understand that we can use the same infinite principle to design a testing tool, whether a language, and to prove that a language is not regular. Let us discuss about that, and it is something very popular in theory of computation. It is called pumping lemma. And the word pumping comes from exactly the concept that we saw, pumping over the loop. How many times you are pumping? It's like you are repeating the same thing. Those many times you are actually appending y. The lemma is very simple. Lemma says that, let me write the lemma in detail. So, if L is a regular language, right, then there exists a finite constant P. I call this P as pumping length. So if L is a regular language, then there exists a finite constant P, right, such that for all strings W part of L, and where length of W is at least P, there exists a breakup of W in X, Y, Z as W is equals to X, Y, Z, such that it follows the following three rules. X, Y is less or equals to P. Second, Y is greater than 0. And the third one is X, Y to the power K, Z belongs to L for all I greater or equals to 0. Okay. This is your complete lemma. The lemma says that if L is a regular language, then there exists a finite constant P. I don't know what is that constant, but there is some finite constant that whenever you take any string in L of length at least P, you can always break this string W into three substrings X, Y, Z, which follows this rule. Okay, so let us first prove this lemma that it holds definitely true for regular languages. Okay, before proving, I am making a claim. And then you have to say, if this is finite, then L is always regular. Can you prove this? What I am saying, that the number of strings in L, if it is finite, then language is always regular. How can you prove? Is the question clear? I am saying that let's say L is equals to some string W1, W2 up to some big finite number Wm. Whenever I am giving a set of finite strings, it is always regular. Can anyone give a proof? Anyone? Okay. If I say that L is a single string W, where W1 is actually A1, A2 up to some AK, is this L regular? Correct, Sasha. So see, whenever you have a given string, designing a DFA or NFA is something very simple. I think designing NFA is the most simple thing. You have A1, right? You have A2, and going up to you have the last one is AK. This is my NFA. Simple. This NFA recognizes W1 and only W1. Correct. This NFA with k plus 1 states actually recognizes my W1. Similarly, I can design NFA for my W2. I can design my NFA for W3 and likewise. And then what I have to do? I just have to take a start state and connect each of these start states with epsilon move. This is just taking union of, let's say this is L1. So basically I am taking union of L1, union L2, union up to Lm, where L1 is actually single string W, Li is actually Wi, right? So but see, the important part is I am taking not infinitely many unions, I am taking only finitely many unions. So it holds, because for each of the machine, this machine that you already had, it was an NFA. So it had finitely many states because the length of the string is finite. This is also finite, this is also finite, this is also finite. Union of finitely many unions of finite machines will give you still finitely many states, right? Because each of the machines have finite number of states. When you take all, you sum it all, still you get a finite number, and you are adding one more. So still it's a finite. Altogether, this bigger machine is also a finite state machine, and it recognizes this. But you cannot say that take any such set and you just take every string and take the NFA and do the union, it always becomes regular. No. For example, if that is the case, then even 0 to the power n, 1 to the power n should be regular, right? Because you take 0 1, 0 0 1 1, 0 0 0 1 1 1, and likewise, and you can say that it is also, for this you can design NFA, for this you can design NFA, for this you can design NFA. But then you are not going to take only finitely many unions. That is the very important concept, because you have to take infinitely many unions, because this will go up to infinite, because natural numbers go up to infinite, right? Countably many, that is sure, but it's still infinite. Is it clear? So whenever you have finitely many strings in a language, it is definitely regular language, because you can, for each of the string you can design an NFA and then you can just do the union of all those. And because these are finitely many unions of finite number of states, still the overall number of states will be finite in the bigger NFA. So if that is clear, so our all goal is about those languages which are of infinite cardinality, right? So let us go to the proof of pumping lemma. So again we will be actually, if you see, we will be going back to the same concepts that we actually covered here. Again you have to start with this thing only, right? Just a second. Okay. Okay. So now let's take the same thing. We said that in the pumping lemma, this is our pumping lemma. So we assume that L is regular language given, and there is a finite constant P, that whenever you take a string of in the language such that the length of a string is at least of that finite constant, then this property is being followed. We are going to prove that it is true for every regular language. So if L is regular, then this whole thing holds up. That's what we are going to prove. Let's prove that. So if L is regular, what does it mean? If L is regular, one thing is very clear, there exists a DFA, right? If L is regular, whenever it is given that L is regular, it is also given with it that there exists a DFA D, and D has 5 tuples, right? Q, sigma, delta, F, Q0. Now let's say that mod of Q is n, means this is denoting what? This is denoting that number of states is equals to n, right? Now I fix that whenever L is regular and there exists a DFA, you say that my P is actually n. What I am saying in other words, that pumping length is nothing but pumping length for a regular language is equals to the number of states in some DFA that recognizes L, right? So pumping length for a regular language L is equals to number of states in some DFA that recognizes L, and in this case it is D. So my pumping length is fixed to n. Now if that is holding, then what is my next step to pick a string? I said that you pick a W part of L such that length of W is greater or equals to P, which here will be greater or equals to n, right? So from this I am getting this, and W belongs to L. So I have picked a string, right? So I don't need to rewrite this. Now I said that in this theorem that if L is regular, there exists a finite constant P as a pumping length. Now you know that whenever L is regular, there exists a DFA, and therefore the number of states of the DFA is a finite number. So certainly when you say that there exists a finite constant P, it is actually the number of states in some DFA for L. right? Now, whenever you pick a string of from the language such that the length of a string is at least n, means at least p, what is going to happen? Let me keep using p, you understand that p is actually n, right? So here onwards I will be just using p only, but you refer it as n only. Now, whenever you pick such a string, let's say that w is actually a1, a2 up to some am, right? And you are saying that m is certainly greater or equals to p. What does it mean? It means whenever, because w is part of L, so what I can say? I can say that I will have a sequence of states again accepting it, which is R1, R2 up to Rm plus 1, where I am saying that R1 is actually my Q0, Rm plus 1 is again part of F, and you will have a cycle. Why? Because there are m plus 1 states in the sequence, so m plus 1 is definitely greater than p, so there will exist I and j for relationship I less than j, such that Ri and Rj's are same, right? This is coming using the pigeonhole principle. We have already done it, so I am just repeating the things, correct? So whenever you pick a string of length at least p, this will happen, right? And if this is m, because p is what? P is n, the number of states, so this will happen. Now when this is happening, let me redraw the same diagram that we have drawn it. But now there is a small correction that we are taking. When you took w, right here, when you pick this w, because you said m is greater or equals to p, what does it mean? It means that this w is actually looks like a1, a2 up to ap, certainly you have, and then you might be having am, right? Because you said that m is greater or equals to p, the index. So this will be the right situation, right way of writing it. Now, still the same thing that we did here on the previous page, exactly the sequence, it can be rewritten as that the sequence will be R1, R2 up to RP, RP plus 1 further up to Rm plus 1, right? Now, when we said that in the previous slide that whenever you pick up to this point, certainly because Rm plus 1 is greater than P, it will hold, that there will be a cycle or something like that. But see, you don't have to go to Rm plus 1 for finding a cycle. Only this part of the sequence is sufficient to give you a cycle. Why? Because P plus 1 is definitely greater than P. So again, within first P plus 1 states in the sequence, you will actually find a cycle. So if I have to really draw the diagram, it will be like you have R1. Now when you are processing it, you will reach to Ri, and this Ri will be within the first P plus 1, right? This Ri takes you back to this Ri for Rj, that further takes you to Rp plus 1, which further takes you to Rm plus 1, right? Now if I have to rewrite the strings, it is A1 up to A I minus 1, here you have Ai up to A j minus 1, and this part is something that is changing. It is not going up to am, but it is just going up to ap. So this is aj plus 1 further up to ap. After rp plus 1, you are again processing the remaining string, which is ap plus 1 up to am, whatever. So there is an extra addition. Now, if you recall, I said that because this is the complete W, and as W is part of L, therefore this string is acceptable, and in that case R1 is actually Q0 and my Rm plus 1 is part of F. So this is one of the final states. Correct. So in the previous, when we were doing for the infiniteness, we just stopped up to this point, but here I am saying something more. I am saying that your string might be extremely large. I don't care about that. You just pick the first p symbols, you will be able to detect a cycle within that. Just mark these words. What I am saying that this string might be very large, m might be something very, very large to p. Even in that case, if you pick only up to this point, up to the first p symbols, still you will be able to detect a cycle. That's all I am saying. And let's again just write this as x, this as y, and let write this part as z, not the whole as z, only this part as z, the first, for the first p symbols. Now what all I can say? If I am picking like this, can I say that, see, still this is going to hold, y is greater than 0. Why? Because it's a DFA. Even for the first p symbols, you will have this sequence, right? This much. First p symbols, you will have a sequence of p plus 1 states, and you have exactly p number of different states in the DFA, right? P is equals to n. Therefore, a repetition is there for sure, and that is what is giving you this cycle. And cycle cannot be with upsilon move because it's a DFA. So you definitely have at least one symbol for this cycle. So y cannot be upsilon. The length of y is 0, at least. More than 0, sorry, length of y is definitely more than 0, strictly greater than 0. What about x, y together? Because I said that the cycle must be occurring within the first p symbols. Can I say that this is less or equals to p? Is it clear why I can say that? Because I am saying that the first, whatever the symbols, see the maximum length of this cycle that can go, it can go up to AP. Up to reaching to the pth symbol, you definitely is going to detect a cycle. You are going to detect. So therefore, the first cycle denoted by y is definitely within the first p symbols, and therefore writing x, y less or equals to p is true. So here when I write this, I am denoting the first cycle. Is it clear? So first, second and third, what I am going to say as x, y. Okay, there is a small correction, this z is actually up to this point. This whole is z, right? I am not just saying this part as z. But I just gave you the broken that my y is definitely before this marker, right? So my y is occurring before this marker for sure for the first p symbols. Therefore, x, y together is less or equals to p. And x, y to the power I, z for all I greater than 0 will belong to L. Yes or no? Why? Because the same rule. You can keep pumping this particular cycle any number of times, it will keep giving you a string. So let us go back to the pumping lemma and just see what it was saying and is it holding. It said that if L is regular, you should be able to find a finite constant p such that whenever you pick a string from the language, such that the length of a string is at least p, then you can break the string w always into x, y, z, such that the x, y basically up to the cycle part is less or equals to p, the pumping length. Y is strictly greater than 0, the length of y, and whenever you are pumping over y for any number of times, the string remains in the language. Each of these points is true. Why it is true? Because once you picked that, when you said that the pumping length is exactly the number of states in the DFA, we already know whenever you pick a string of length at least the number of states in the DFA, it is definitely going to create cycle. I am claiming further that if you have exactly, that's what, if you take this equals to thing, that means if you take the first p symbols, first n symbols, that will still give you a cycle. Why? Because even with p symbols you will get a sequence of p plus 1 states, and p plus 1 states, although you just have only distinct p states, therefore it will have a repetition, and that will definitely give you a cycle. And when you take the x as the before cycle substring, y is the substring that forms the cycle, x, y is definitely falling within the first p symbols, and therefore the mod of the length of x, y together is less or equals to p. Length of y cannot be 0 because it's a DFA, so you cannot move from I to j with epsilon. You need to spend at least one symbol, and therefore length of y is greater than 0. And finally, how many times you are roaming here doesn't affect the acceptance. You will still go from R1 to Rm plus 1. Whether you don't take this loop or you loop here for k number of times, right? Here x, y to the power I, z says that you come from R1 to Ri using x, take I number of times this looping. So you are looping here in I number of times, and then you are going ahead with z to Rm plus 1. All of these strings will be in the language. Is it clear? If anyone has any doubt, please come further and ask. Good question, very good question. What is the purpose of defining pumping lemma? It's a property of regular language, right? But the interesting part of this pumping lemma is it's a tool to detect when the languages are not following this property. See, okay, let me just so see this pumping lemma, if you see the property says that if this, then this. That means when the language is regular, then it follows this property. Correct? But the converse is not true. That if the language follows this property, so it is regular. Converse is what? What is converse? Correct. If P then Q, its converse will be if Q then P. So that doesn't hold. So if a language is there which follows this below one property, right, the conditions below given, that doesn't ensure that the language becomes regular. Now the usage of this can be used to in the contrapositive way. that you say that if there is a language which doesn't follow this property, so you can definitely say that the language is not regular. Is it clear or not? So it is a necessary condition, not sufficient. So when there is a necessary condition for a regular language is given, you can use it to say that whenever any language is not following this necessary condition, then it cannot be regular. And exactly that's what is the crux of this lemma, that whenever you are given a language, right, whenever you are given a language, to prove that it is not regular, you can use this tool. So let's take that language that we were already written. So L is equals to 0 to the power n, 1 to the power n for n is greater or equals to 1. This is a language which we realize that it is not regular by concept, common sense or something like that. But proving it mathematically is that I am going to prove that this language does not follow the property of the pumping lemma for regular languages. So this pumping lemma is for regular languages, and because it doesn't follow, and therefore it is not regular. So always remember, whenever you want to prove and whenever you want to prove that L is regular, there is a single way. Prove L is regular, you need to design a machine. And whenever you want to prove that L is not regular, use pumping lemma. Because by designing, you give example of the existence of a machine for the language. So therefore, you prove that the language is regular. Whenever you use the pumping lemma to say that the language doesn't follow a property, that means you are giving a proof that it doesn't follow the necessary condition, therefore it cannot be regular. You cannot prove using pumping lemma that the language is regular. Because always remember, many of you do mistakes while writing in the final exams. Pumping lemma is to prove that L is not regular. To prove that L is regular, you must design a machine. Because something following the property of pumping lemma, right, doesn't ensures that the language is regular. It's not a sufficient condition. And just let's quickly do, I think in the 2 minutes or 3 minutes time, I should be able to really prove it. That correct, Shubham. Pumping lemma is a necessary but not sufficient condition to prove it is regular. Now, I want to prove that L is not regular, but I will take a contrapositive, at least not contrapositive, let's take a contradictory statement. I am saying that L is regular. So I am assuming that L is regular. If L is regular, what does it mean? L satisfies pumping lemma property. Correct? If that is the case, if L is regular, L satisfied pumping lemma property, so there exists a constant P. I don't know what is the value of P, but it exists. Because L is regular, it satisfies the pumping lemma property. So there exists some constant P. Now, when there exists a constant P, what I have to say? I am gonna pick a string W. So there exists a constant P. I don't know what it is, but P is given. So it says that for all W part of L such that length of W is greater or equals to P, property follows. So I am going to see, it says for all the string it follows. When it says for all it follows, even for any string it should be able to follow. So I am free to pick any string. Always remember, when I say that all of you have 10 rupee note in your pocket, it means to validate it, I can just ask one of you to really show me your pocket. But when I say there exists a person in this room or whoever are attending online who has 100 rupee note in front of him or her, then to prove it, you have to go to each and every person. Until you really have not explored every person's possibility, you cannot comment on that there exist. But when there is a property being followed by all strings of length at least p, you can pick any string. So I am going to pick a string 0 to the power p, 1 to the power p. This is my choice. I have to just show two things. The string, this is part of L, answer is yes, because it is of this type. Next question is it greater or equals to p in terms of length? The answer is yes, because the length of this string is 2p, while my requirement is it should be greater or equals to p. So 2p is certainly greater or equals to p. So this string is a correct string as per this requirement. So I am free to pick any string, but I am picking this one. Now it says that once you picked any string, there exists a breakup. So this W can be broken into some XYZ. I don't know what XYZ. There exists. I don't know what particular breakup. But it's good. I'm going to say that, let's say that this is my zeros, this is ones. You said that there are P zeros and P ones. Now there exists a breakup such that it has a rule. It says that X, Y together must be less or equals to P. What does it mean? It means X and Y together must be before this marker, right? Because there are P number of zeros, so Y cannot be part of ones. Y cannot contain ones. Y definitely comprises only zeros. Next one is Y is greater than 0. So Y is at least 1 0 and Y is only comprising of zeros. What does it mean? Then for all I, it should be following x, y to the power I, z part of L. But it doesn't hold. Why it doesn't hold? Because what you just said here, that this x is some a number of zeros, y is again some b number of zeros, and z is actually 0 to the power, let's say p minus a minus b and 1 to the power p. Correct? So when you gonna pump it for any number of times, let's say we are not pumping it, I just took x, z. When you take x, z, you set actually that I equals to 0. It should be following for I equals to 0 also. Now when you say x, z, what you gonna get? You gonna get 0 to the power a, 0 to the power p minus a minus b, 1 to the power p. This is going to give you 0 to the power p minus b, 1 to the power p. And as per the rule, xz should be part of L. But 0 to the power p minus b, 0 to the power p, is it part of L or not? The answer is no. Because p minus b, b is what? The length of y, correct? The length of y is b. It is non-zero. Therefore, the number of zeros in p minus b is definitely less than number of ones. And therefore, this definitely is not part of L. And therefore, our assumption must be wrong. Now, I think you should go back, revise the pumping lemma, but the proof of pumping lemma is something you have to learn, that it is always, you have to assume that given language is regular and it satisfies the property, and then you have to, right, it satisfies the property, then you have to prove that what happens when you go ahead with the property, you realize that it is not fulfilling the property for any possible breakup. See, I did not pick a particular breakup, I took in general a breakup because it was a there exists. When it was for all strings, I am free to pick any string to prove it. But when it says there exists a breakup, I cannot say there are 5 zeros, 10 ones, something like that. No, many of you gonna do that. Always remember, you must have to pick a generic number, a general. I don't know what is value of A, I don't know what is value of B, but certainly because of this constraint, what you can say, the number of x's and y's, the symbols altogether is less than p, and you have p number of zeros, so x will contain only zeros, some a number, I don't know what is a, y contains some b number of zeros, I don't know how many, and the remaining zeros will go to z, and all the ones will be part of z. One thing is certain, because the length of y is greater than 0, so b is greater than 0, and that is why when you took xz, it is giving you 0 to the power p minus b, 1 to the power p belongs to L. The same you can prove for even x, y, y, z. What you will realize, you will see that x, y, y, z is going to give you 0 p plus b, 1 to the power p. Now again, p plus b is what? Because b is greater than 0, if you see, because b is greater than 0, so certainly p plus b will be greater than p, and if that is the case, this cannot be part of L, and therefore it doesn't satisfy the property. So you assume that L is regular, and finally you reached at a contradiction, therefore your assumption is incorrect and L is not regular. So go back, revise it. If we will have a practice session, we will practice few more questions on pumping lemma, and the assignment should reach you by most probably by tomorrow. Let me try, I am still figuring out a way for uploading the assignments. So Thursday might be difficult for a practice session. I think if Ritik is there, I don't know. If the CR is present, we should find another slot for doing lot more practice examples. I think then it will make more sense and very clear. Thank you so much. See you all in practice session if it happens before the next Monday. Otherwise, see you all on Monday. Thank you.